Welcome, kings and queens, lords and ladies, my noble court, to the Cosmic Archive, a living legendarium of a million worlds. I am Lord Master Leonis, the curator of this fine establishment, and a humble scribe and archivist. That is the most butchered intro I think I've done. Taking a week off certainly does take its toll, doesn't it? Alright, today I'm doing a bit of a different video. As you can see in my background here, I'm going to be covering something by Kitsunero. Kitsunero recently made a video about her opinions on AI and just speaking her mind about it, and I think this is probably one of the most legitimate, I'm not trying to hate, I'm just trying to get my thoughts out there and understand what I can style videos I've seen from a more anti-AI standpoint. I wanted to take the time to listen to what she has to say, and I've watched this video all the way through, and I felt very moved to do this. I want to take the time to listen to what she has to say, but also, push back on the things I think are worth pushing back on. I think after watching the video, I get the feeling that she doesn't really hate AI or all the AI bros in general. I think she has feelings about the situation at large. I think as an artist herself, she feels some level of threat to it maybe, or threat from it maybe. I don't know that for sure. Kitsu, if you see this, feel free to tell me if I'm wrong about that. But I want to try from the pro AI side of the aisle, I want to try to also reach out across the divide and hold out my hand so that we can hopefully shake on it and come to a place of understanding between the two groups. Now, I know that there's a group of antis out there that will just hate it, and they're always going to hate it, and there's nothing we're ever going to do to change their minds. But Kitsunero isn't one of those. I think Kitsunero is a very normal, moderate person, and so she's coming from a relatively moderate place. In general, I think that her takes sound very much like, I just don't want this to negatively affect my work and my future. And that's a completely reasonable place to stand. And I think from there is genuinely room to have a conversation. So a few things before we get into it, I just want to make sure I lay down proper context. Kitsunero is German, and I believe she lives in Germany presently. Again, feel free to correct me if I'm incorrect about that. Her political landscape she deals with every day in her own life is very different from the American political landscape, so I'm going to try to avoid, for the most part, discussing American political talks about AI, because that may not translate as well, and I don't want to make this something difficult for the international audience to understand, and especially not difficult for her to understand. My hope is that she can see this video and understand that I'm coming from a place of trying to meet in the middle. Another thing I want you to understand is she came to this from a place where she had recently viewed comments on Leaflet's VTuber AI project, and apparently there were a lot of anti-artist sentiments shared in the comments of those. And if I'm correct, Kitsu is an artist herself, which in turn means that she probably felt very attacked by that. And I will get into more detail about that when she talks about it. So she came into this already in a sort of defensive posture, which is very different than how I'm coming into this. I'm coming into this like, okay, let us have a conversation. Let us be as cordial and respectful of each other as we can. I don't think Kitsu was trying to be disrespectful, but I do think she came into it a little bit defensive, and that caused her to be prickly in a couple of places. And maybe if she had had some time to breathe or think about it. I don't know if she did or not. I know for me, that's how I am. Oftentimes I'm very prickly initially, but then like when I've had some time to really think and digest on what I'm thinking about, I'm much smoother, much more reasonable and relaxed in my discussion. So maybe she's similar in that regard, and she just didn't have enough time to sort of sit and simmer about it. She's a content creator as well. She might not be able to give as much time to deeper thought of it because she has to move on to the next thing. She has like 3 channels. I think she has a clips channel, she has this channel, she has the Kitsu channel, and I don't know if the Kitsu channel doubles as her gaming channel. I think it does, but if not, maybe she also has a gaming channel. But she does a lot. She streams a lot, so the amount of time she has is also something we have to keep in mind. Without any further ado, let's get into what she says, and let's see if we can make reasonable rebuttals.
I love AI making RAM prices go up. Shut.
So right off the top, I unfortunately do not remember which video on YouTube it was. In the edited version of this, future Leo is going to put words on the screen to show you what video it is. And I think I will take the responsibility actually to take a screenshot of that video and put it here so you can see which one I'm talking about. But it did recently come to light that it is not in fact the AIs that are causing RAM prices to go up. There was a different event entirely that was being headed up by 3 major RAM corporations that were acting as a cartel to force RAM prices up and refuse to do any business with anyone who wanted to lower the RAM prices. Specifically, if they sold you RAM and then you sold the RAM at a smaller price than they wanted to sell it to you, you were blacklisted and were no longer allowed to buy RAM from them anymore. And that was the vast majority of RAM on the market. This got discovered recently, like within the last month, so it makes sense that it hasn't, and it was relatively quiet, it wasn't publicized, so it makes sense that it hasn't made all the rounds yet. But these 3 companies were caught and they are now in lawsuit, so it is possible the RAM prices will come back down later once that lawsuit is over, because that was a predatory market practice. So this has actually been debunked. The AI is not what's causing the RAM price increase. I wanted to make sure that was said right here at the outset. I don't think Kitsu is aware of this, so I don't think there's anything to say against her, but I did want to let people know that has been confirmed to be the case now.
There's like a spicy topic I've been considering talking about or not talking about, but probably not, because I know the average Joe doesn't care about it. It's just like...
She's right about that. The average Joe does not care. The average Joe, if AI makes their life better or easier, then they like it. If it makes their life harder or more difficult, then they don't like it, and that's the extent of thought.
Something I'm passionate about. 34 spicy? No, drama. You guys, you know my opinions, like, on things, right? Like, you guys would generally be, like, okay with it. Even if you disagreed with me, which some of you will. I know that for a fact, some of you will. But some of you also will agree with me, some will disagree. But I know you guys would be chilled with it. Average Joe, more like Joe Mama. It's Jover. I know your opinion will catch. It's about AI.
That's referring to a tweet she made earlier on where she had like spaghetti on a plate with just ketchup put on it and nothing else, like just spaghetti noodles with ketchup over it. And she got rightfully flamed for that food take.
AI. It's about AI.
Someone tell Beetle there is a problem with my AI.
I love AI making RAM prices go up. AI generated something. Just AI. Just like AI in general. I might not like AI, but artists need to have...
So, before we get into this thing about the artists needing to have their egos checked, she said AI in general, not just generative AI. I do want to take a moment to mention that there kind of are multiple arguments in the AI space. AI is something that can be used in a lot of different fields. My uncle, in fact, he works on computers for like barges, like big shipping vessels. And like you see barges that go like across the ocean and deliver to other countries or whatever. Those ships, he works on the computers for those ships, and he's presently in the process of teaching AIs to run the more repetitive parts of program upkeep and computer upkeep on those vessels, which a lot of people are actually not very happy about because that's going to put a lot of people out of work. And that is an entirely different AI argument than talking about generative AI for use in art or videos or what have you. It's similar in that you have an issue of AI potentially taking over jobs, and with those jobs being taken over, then you're having people being put out of work that they used to be able to do. I think she gets into that later, but at least for the moment, I'm going to make my general stance on that known, which is horse breeders lost a lot of work when the car got invented, and portrait people lost a lot of work when the camera got invented. So my personal opinion on that is technology is going to technology, and sometimes technology is going to take work away from people, and it kind of just is what it is. And it sucks for the people who lose the job. It sucks for the people who lose the work, but that's sort of just the nature of how technology works. The best solution to me is not to complain, oh, woe is me, the work I want want the work I'm doing, the easy work I'm doing, the work I love to do, whatever it might be, is going to go away because a technology is going to make it redundant. Well, my opinion is that rather than going on about that problem, your solution should be, what can I do to change what I'm doing? How can I alter my trajectory? How can I adapt to the new technology and the new paradigm? Because if you adapt to the new technology and the new paradigm, you'll stay on top. I do want to take a moment to say, I know that that is not an easy thing for everyone to do. There are people who have better or worse aptitudes for adaptations, and depending on what you're going to do to adapt, you may have a better or worse aptitude to doing that thing. In my case, I'll openly admit that I have a relatively good aptitude in writing, which gives me a leg up in adapting what I'm doing to move forward with using AI. That's not something everyone has access to, and I understand that. I want to take a moment to say I do understand that, and I don't want to take a position, like an elitist position, to say that, oh, well, just, adapt, bro, adapt or die. And the truth of the matter is, the market will make you adapt or fall, whether you like it or not. That's not really a motion by individual people. It's just kind of how markets move. When you upset a market with a new technology, that will happen. There will be some things made obsolete, but there's also some kickback with AI right now. For example, in the workforce, in like the labor force, because AI operates off of a token system, a lot of companies are presently not sure if it's going to cost them less money in the long run to replace people with AI labor, or if that's ultimately costing them more because the tokens they need to keep their stuff running cost more than just paying a low tier worker a lower wage. And that is a legitimate situation that's happening, and if AI doesn't get their together with that, they're going to lose that market. I don't think that'd be a big deal for AI to lose that market personally. I don't think that'd be a big issue, but that is a possibility in the future.
The ego check. Both are true. Both are true.
Hold on, let me go back so we get that full.
In general, I might not like AI stuff, but I just need to have the ego check. Both are true. Both are true. You mean the leaflet AI program or the TikTok YouTube AI suppression? I'll say both about it. But like generally, those are alongside the topic.
So in terms of the artists need to get their egos checked, and she's going to go into this in a little bit more detail in a moment, but there are a lot of artists who get really elitist about people who use AI, and they shit on AI users as often as they can. I was looking at the comments to Leaflet's 3 videos that I'm aware of on her channel about her program. Kitsu's going to bring that up too, and then I'll discuss it more when she does. But there were a lot of very toxic anti-AI people who are just like, you're an evil piece of for making this, and you should feel bad, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, dog, you're not really accomplishing anything by doing that. This isn't someone who cares about your opinion, first of all. And second of all, like, stop acting like people who don't possess the skill set for what you do would not benefit by having a tool that compensates for the lack of skill in that area. I think there's no problem with that whatsoever.
It's like that's a spicy topic, and I just don't like,
Oh, and then someone asked, is it about the Leaflet AI program or the AI suppression? And she hasn't said anything specific to that. I just wanted to acknowledge I did hear that. And she's saying it's kind of both. I think in her mind right now at this point when she's talking, she is thinking, I'm trying to talk about AI in general. And all of these things kind of fall under this umbrella of talking about AI in general.
Twitter.
I don't like AI art, but I hate insufferable Western artists more. So.
Right, but you don't have.
See, that is an attitude. A lot of people currently utilizing AI, as well as a lot of people in the AI space, they have this opinion. I'm not going to bring it in here because it'll make the video even longer, but another great video to watch is, there's 2 of them, I think 3 of them now, by Scooch-on that discuss this topic. Something like 6 to 8 months ago, I want to say. It was either early this year or it was late last year. Scooch-on made a video where she just went off on artists who were essentially scammers. It's not like they don't have art capability or whatever, but they take they open their commissions, they take the commission, and then they don't work on the commission for like 6 months. They do nothing with it. They don't communicate to you at all. They're not always scammers in the traditional sense of being a genuine scam artist, but rather that they don't care about having a professional, like a reliable professional way of doing the art. They take your commission and they get to it when they get to it. And if it takes 2 years to get it done, then it takes 2 years to get it done. Too bad. And Scoo was really getting on people's nerves about that, because when they take your commission, they take your money, and then they go and they spend your money before they finish the job. And then if you try to get the money back from them, because like charge back through PayPal or something, PayPal will get you paid, but they're screwed out. They're screwed because they don't have the money. And from the perspective of the customer, which is Scoo, I don't care. I paid you to do something and you didn't do it. And from the position of the artist, it's like, I was getting to it. I'll get to it when I get to it. You need to be more patient. And when you're in a VTuber position, you have issues like, I have a planned debut stream for my 2.0 model or something. You need to have a date to put that plan for, and you need to have artists that are reliable enough that they're going to get it done by that date. And on occasion, something big comes up and the artist has to delay, and thus you have to delay, and it happens, and it's unfortunate. But when you're working with someone who's got a more professional mind about it, you can make plans like that, and a lot of people prefer to be able to do that. But artists are kind of a little more chaotic in that regard, or at least a lot of artists that Scoo worked with. Now, interestingly enough, we're going to actually get a different point of view from Kitsu, because Kitsu has not had that level of experience with artists, and most of her experience with artists are positive. She'll say that later. So it also points out that, like, if your experience in life is going to give you a very different point of view on how you feel about the situation. Scoo also has a video where she basically said, "I told you so," and then she has a third video reacting to Rev, reacting to the second video. So if you're interested in that entire debacle, you can go check out Scoo-chan's channel. I'll put a little thing up here so that you can see sort of the sort of anti-artist argument, like the core of it, where it comes from. That might help give a little context to the sort of anti-artist sentiment that we're seeing Kitsu be upset about.
Have to commission Western artists. You can commission
Small, so.
Right, but you don't have to commission Western artists. You can commission Eastern artists. Like, not every artist is insufferable. Yes, there are artists that are... I've experienced them too, okay? But
so she does have a point here. There's a big cultural difference between Eastern artists from like Korea, Japan, and Eastern Europe versus Western artists from like the general Western world. And Western artists are often a lot more elitist in their work, whereas Eastern artists sort of view their work, especially in the Asian countries, they view their work as a job, as work that they have to do. So they kind of come at it with a more like orderly, professional mindset towards it. Whereas in the West, we kind of have more like, art is this beautiful expression of yourself and this amazing thing you can do to show the world what you're like. And it kind of comes from a little more of an emotional, chaotic place mentally. So artists in the West tend to be a little more like, I'm about what I'm about, and it's all about what I make, and I'm the important part of this equation. Whereas Eastern artists will be like, thank you so much for giving me the time to even consider me. Thank you so much for offering to commission. Like that's another thing. We don't have an attitude about that in the West. They will literally say, thank you for offering to take my commission, or thank you for considering my commission as worthy of your time. It's a very different attitude, and I do think a lot of Western VTubers have turned to Eastern artists for this. It's a little different on Skeb. Skeb's got a little more of a Western tilt to it, because the guys who made Skeb are very pro-artist and protecting the artist. So anything you get on Skeb, the artist has all the rights to it, bad. So like if the artist says you can't make merch, then you can't make merch. And I'll say it now. She's going to mention this too, but important to a lot of Western VTubers, I think, is that you need to be able to make merch of your model. And sometimes you will run into situations where a model creator has the rights to the model and you don't, in which case you cannot make merch of that model, or you have to pay some kind of royalty to them. And normally I think that's not a big issue, but we have seen some situations where people demand exorbitantly too much in their royalty. And a lot of people just don't want to deal with that problem. So they would prefer an option that lets them make their own unique thing, and then they can make merch off of that, off their own business, and they don't have to bring another party into it.
on average, my experience with artists has been good. Like Sui said, most artists are elites, sadly. That is actually not true. Not most artists. I just don't think that's true. There are artists that are elitist, but it's not most artists.
And see, this is what I was talking about earlier. She talked about how most of her artist experience is positive. And this guy actually directly brought up Scooch-chan like I did. Scooch-chan has had a lot of negative interactions with artists. Kitsu has had a lot of positive interaction with artists. So this was one of the reasons I thought it was really important to do this video, because I've not seen this side of the bridge yet. She's talking about it from a place where I've not seen. My experience with artists have been neutral. I've had a couple that were not. I had a couple that scammed me, and I had a couple that were legit. Right now, the model you're seeing here isn't even made with AI. It's made by someone named Aiko Streams off of Fiverr. When I asked her to make this model, I sent her 3 AI pictures as reference sheet, like just as references to what I wanted my model in general to look like, and she had zero problem with that. So Kitsu's going to talk about this later too, but I just wanted to bring that up. Like, it's not like all the artists out there are evil. She's completely right. There are good artists that just want to make their money.
I think that is a selection bias. I do think there are artists that...
It probably is a selection bias. I don't know what causes that, but I don't think she's wrong with that statement.
that need to get their ego in check. Absolutely. Absolutely, there are, okay? I've experienced one. Okay, I wish for AI to be a good tool, to be used for humanity, to be used for the right, to be able to help, to be able to be used as a tool.
I think realistically, AI is just fine as a tool as it is, and it's just going to keep getting better as a tool.
My purpose.
You passed butter.
Oh my god.
I wish for that to be true,
I think it is true.
but it's not right now. But it's just not right now.
Now, I suppose that could be depending on the industry you're in. So I could see that it might not be true in certain industries, such as earlier I mentioned the token system is not working out very well in the labor industry. So the question becomes like, do I buy an AI sweeper bot and pay a price for so many tokens for the sweeper bot to be able to sweep my gas station every month? Or does it cost me significantly less money to just hire a kid for $16 an hour to sweep my floors? Like, what costs less? And at the end of the day, this is how markets regulate themselves, is if it turns out that the $16 an hour kid sweeping your floor costs significantly less than paying for tokens for your sweeper bot. And I don't know for sure if the sweeper bots, I am thinking about the sweeper bots I see at QT all the time. I suspect those probably are not a token-based system. I think they're probably a QT proprietary product, and that costs them significantly less to do it. But I can see a world where a system like that still requires tokens and costs way more money than just paying a 16-year-old to sweep the damn store. And if the $16 an hour kid costs less than the sweeper bot, or the maintenance on the sweeper bot, or the tokens to run the sweeper bot, the company's not going to buy the AI product because it's too expensive. They're just going to pay for the $16 an hour kid. I'm using $16 an hour because I think that's kind of the low end of what's reasonable right now in America. But that's kind of where that's kind of where I'm sitting at. This is how a market corrects itself. If the AI product is inexpensive and easy to access and easy to maintain, you're going to find that it very easily overtakes the non-AI options. But in any industry where the AI is more expensive to run, more expensive to maintain, and like less accessible, it takes a more well-educated individual to run it, etc., you're going to find that it loses out to someone who takes like a salary check per year, and they're much more easy to access and it's easier for you. So I think in the long run, the market's going to balance itself like that, because there's going to be industries where AI is really, really good and it overtakes stuff and it sadly swallows jobs and takes it over. But you're going to find other industries where AI just isn't able to make accessibility as available, or they're going to use a system that's more expensive than the legacy system, and the industries to be like, well, man, the novelty of this technology is not good enough for me to stop hiring people to do this job, so just get out of here with that.
I think like asking ChatGPT a quick question about something can be good. If you, for example, if you're in a country where you don't speak the language of, I think AI is really good at translating things overall.
Yes, AI is very good at translating languages.
Overall, you should still double check it though. Cancelled. Ooh. Whoa. Think of the environment.
How dare you?
Honestly, with leaflet stuff.
Again, with the well, actually, this is a different argument. Think of the environment. I have heard some arguments one way or the other about the environment. I remember making a Grok search once, and I was like, I want to know what are the arguments for or against AI data centers. Like, what are the, actually, it wasn't the arguments. I asked, what are the studies on data centers and their water usage, and the arguments surrounding pro data centers and anti data center arguments based on the information. Long story short, from what I understand, the environmental argument goes down to the anti-data center argument is that it is sucking up a ton of water, and they want to put more data centers in places like Phoenix, Arizona and the LA area, both of which are on a relatively depleted groundwater lake. So the real question now is like, if it sucks up a lot of groundwater, it sucks up a lot of local water, what is that going to do to our water table? And the question is like, what is the quantity of water being sucked up? The pro AI data center arguments center around the percentage of water being used, the percentage of water being recycled. So there is some degree of an effort to make internal systems so that they use the water for cooling the CPUs. The heated water then goes through some kind of internal system to get filtered and cooled and then brought back in to cool the system again. Those are not like a 100% efficient system. There's a lot of water that gets dumped, like unpotable water that gets dumped out, unusable water, and it does create concerns about the water table. So they talk about percentages. Now, the big argument about this that I don't think is a good argument to make was farming uses so much more water than data centers. And my response to that is, yeah, no, Sherlock, plants need water to live, of course, and food is kind of important. Like, why is this even an argument we're having? That's my opinion, personally. I think that's a bad argument to make, because you're basically attacking a food source and saying, well, you should have less food source. If you're going to argue that I shouldn't have my AI techno data center that is a privilege, like it's a technological privilege versus food, which is like something everyone needs, that's not a viable argument. In my opinion, that's a bad argument to make. But that is one of the arguments, is that the farming industry takes up way more water than we do. Why aren't you attacking them? Because they feed us. That's why they're not attacking them. I think that's a very obvious answer, personally. And perhaps I'm wrong about that and I shouldn't look at it that way, but based on the data I presently have, that is sort of how I feel about it.
Stuff, she's released it for free and not making money off it. She at least makes extra effort off it and has been hilarious. Fair! My point is, you can get into VTubing for free.
Free!
We don't actually need a tool like that. You can get into VTubing for free. I got into VTubing for free. That would be my counterpoint to that entire thing. And then I streamed 8 months long with a $30 model. 8 months long I streamed with a $30 model until I had enough support from you guys, from YouTube, that I was able to afford like my own model. Maybe I'll like AI it when it stops looking like it.
That guy's point, a lot of AI does look like shit. You have to understand that a lot of people come into AI thinking that all they have to do is say, I literally just saw this earlier too, and I hated it. It was an AI program that was advertising themselves by showing this really cool image of like a sports car ripping down a highway, and the prompt that supposedly made that image was make the car drive down an empty highway or something like that. And that does insinuate that you already designed the car in a previous prompt, by the way. If you are AI savvy, you know that. But a lot of people who aren't AI savvy are thinking that that's equivalent to saying, make a video of a car driving down a highway, and they're going to get this amazing video that they want. What I can do, I'll go over to Imagine and I'll show you one of my recent prompts so you can see, for anyone who's watching this that isn't particularly AI savvy, let's go with this one. Right, so like here's my prompt for it. Here is all of this. So a lot of people don't know about this one, right? So you have positive, which is, these are the things I want, like before I even give you a description of what I'm giving you, the things I want you to put in this image are, I want generally good resolution stuff. I want this to be a 2-dimensional image. I want it to be anime in nature, and I want it to take the form of a character sheet. You need all that kind of stuff in your prompt before you even get to describing what you're doing. And then you're going to describe what you're doing. And even then, I give a lot of like tags, right? Female, elf, yellow eyes, green hair, short hair, tomboy, C cups, longbow in hand. I think this might have been like my 8th or 9th generation of this too. I had to do a lot of work on this to get the leaf outfit to actually look like a normal clothes instead of some weird Adam and Eve shit, etc., etc. So like if you look over here, we designed basic swords and whatnot. I wasn't particularly concerned about this sword being anything special, so I basically just said make a short sword. And so it gave me this and I'm fine with it, it's fine. But there were things about the design that I wanted specifically. I wanted a leather belt. I wanted to see leather pouches. I wanted to see a long bow, not just any bow. I want a long bow, not a recurve bow. And this does recurve a little bit, but it's like a recurve long bow. It's fine. I wanted form-fitting clothes, because another thing too, if you just say I want it to be made of leaves and woven threads, it can give you a lot of different options for that. It might not be form-fitting. It might be a little more baggy, whatever. As long as it looks like it's made out of leaves, it might give you more like a ghillie suit design. A ghillie suit design is one that comes up a lot when you tell it to make like leaf clothes. It'll give you a ghillie suit design. So just to give you an idea, like there's a lot more that goes into actually figuring out how to generate an image than just that. Now, Kitsu's going to address everything I just said in a moment as well, but it bugs me. It really bugs me when people think that AI is just coming in here. And this is a relatively short prompt, by the way. Like I have longer ones. If I go here to my Super Grok, you can see some of my longer ones. So like this is a much longer prompt. And I have even longer ones than this, where this is like sort of a video or an image edit. I use this image as a reference for making a new image, which is this one. And then here, I've got my positive. I've got a little longer of a positive. And then I say like, using image 1 as a base, redesign the chair, the background outfit. Negative, I do things like I say, I put gold bars because sometimes when you tell an AI to change something, it'll keep background elements. I don't want overhead lighting. I don't want artifacting, etc., etc. So this is a longer prompt, and I've probably got even longer ones in here if I look for them. Oh, here's my AI water use. Dude, like I said, I'm probably not going to look super into that at this point because I've said my piece. Oh, here would be a great example. This is a long ass prompt. Okay, this is the character that I'm making into the prompt. And then look how long this prompt is, like all the different things I have to tell it I want to do. My composition and whatnot. If I'm doing something serious, like I'm saying I want a poster and I want it to fit this kind of stuff. This is a lot of work. Now this one, in fairness, this specific one is a copy paste from someone else's. But this is a great example of like how long you can get for a prompt to get something very specific. And again, Kitsu's going to address that and I'm going to rebuttal it, but it does really bug me when people think that AI art is just make car go vroom and that gives you like that amazing image. No, it does not.
No, that's a spicy opinion. Looking like no, that's a spicy opinion.
A little bit, yeah. It definitely got me going.
Real quick, gamers, before we continue the video, I just quickly wanted to announce that Gamer Subs is having their famous Christmas and July.
I'm gonna watch through this because I'm reacting to her video, and I think it's kind of bad form to not run their ads in the video. I'm making content off of what she's doing. I'm not currently making money off of my videos. I don't think I'm gonna get any trouble having a Gamer Subs thing on here, so realistically, I think it's only fair and reasonable to let her ad run.
Sale. Christmas in July means free gifts with every Gamer Sub stuff you purchase. This tier buff stacks up to 6 times, with tier 6 including a free V cardigan. Make sure to get this as soon as you can because this is only for a limited time while supply lasts. So make sure to use code Kitsunero for 10% off. It supports me directly and I hope you enjoyed the rest of the video. You know what's funny? All these people that are like, oh my god, I'm gonna make an AI VTuber with this. They could have just like asked ChatGPT how to become VTuber for free. To be honest, anyone who's pro AI, I say let them have fun. I don't really care about the whole drama stuff. No, that's fair. That's fair.
I do believe she'll go into what she means by doing VTuber stuff for free, and I'll address it at that point. I like this here. If you want to use AI, have fun. That's a very good attitude to have because at the end of the day, AI will succeed or AI will fail. I think it's succeeding right now, but we don't really know where it will go because, again, AI isn't, as I understand it, AI isn't really like Skynet or the AI from The Matrix. It's not a self-aware thing mostly. I have heard some statements that say that by 2027 we're going to have a general superintelligence, and by the time we have a general superintelligence, that's it. Human race is cooked. There's nothing we can do. It becomes a runaway we cannot control because we are not capable of that level of superintelligence. So that's something I have heard people say. Personally, I don't know that that's believable. I would say though that you should ask more experts because I am far from an expert on this. With what I'm currently experiencing with AI in the generative AI, art AI sphere, it is not smart enough to do that. It is simply not. The thing that I remember hearing is they're saying instead of creating general superintelligence, you can create specific superintelligence and it will still be something humanity can corral. Because if you create something that's specifically super intelligent in this one medical thing, then it's only really good at that. And when you corral it from using other stuff that it's not super intelligent about, you could kind of keep it held and controlled. But if you give a general superintelligence, it becomes uncontrollable because it knows more about functioning in existence than you do. But let us continue.
Yeah. And I'm like not on this about drama. I'm just very passionate about art and VTubing. I love VTubing.
I also love VTubing, and I'm also very passionate about VTubing. I'm less passionate about art because I'm not really traditionally what you call an artist. I took Art 101 myself. Actually, this might not be a bad story to share. I was the only person in my Art 101 class, my Drawing 101 class. I should just be more specific. Not Art 101, Drawing 101. And my teacher, I want to preface this. My teacher was not a fan of my art style because it was very cartoony. And his take was, this is Drawing 101. You are learning the basics. You need to learn realism because from realism all caricature comes from, and if you do not understand the proper proportions of realistic things, you will not be able to create caricatures that properly caricaturize the things you want to caricaturize. So he was very big about that, and I did make some portraits, etc. I don't have a webcam so I can't show you, but he did have me make some of that stuff. So I have dabbled in realistic drawings and whatnot. I'm not incapable of drawing. My aptitude is not very high, I think, but I was capable of sitting down and drawing something that, looked like it should. For me, I don't know what the time requirement is for an average artist for me to create a semi-realistic self-portrait. It was 4 or 5 hours of just non-stop drawing to get that to where I felt like I had made a decent looking image of myself. And that was on one of those big art books. You open it up from the top and it's got a big ass page, you stick it on an easel. That's what I used to draw on it. But my point was, I consistently turned in cartoony work and he consistently told me he didn't like it, and he consistently would actually knock me points because I wasn't drawing realistic stuff. But for our final project, I turned in a completed piece of work, cartoony as hell as always. Everyone else, and I'm not exaggerating, everyone else in the class was still working on their artwork at the time that it was class time right now. It was due immediately. And the art teacher was nice enough to say, I'll give you till the end of class period to finish your work. And if you do, then I'll judge it appropriately. For my work, he just said A+ immediately. And I was like, but you don't even like it. I know you don't like it because it's cartoon. He goes, doesn't matter. You were given an assignment, you completed it, and you were given an assignment, you communicated and you completed it on time. You gave us a complete product, and that is more important than anything else you can learn from my class about the art world. So you get an A+. I took that to heart. I remember that, and I will never forget that because I knew he hated it. But nonetheless, he said it was more important that I understood that when I took a commission in the art world, if I was going to become an artist and take commissions, that when I took a commission, I completed that commission in a timely manner and I delivered the final product. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. You can always go back and do revisions, but you have to produce a product, a viable product, by the time specified by your client. And that was more important from his perspective than any drawing skill that I could have learned. So that's kind of where I come from in my opinions on art and how art should work.
VTubing gave me a chance at life, okay? VTubing gave me a chance to be who I am. How much did you pay for your model? I want to show you the model that I started out with.
I do, just really quickly, I do want to bring this back because I went on a sort of tangent there about the drawing thing. Going back to this, I love art and I love VTubing just like she does. I don't think VTubing gave me a chance at life or whatever. I'm a little PNG on the corner of my screen. I realistically, I got a chance to be seen because I reacted to a Skybrowse video. That's, at the end of the day, that's what got me in front of 200 or so sets of eyeballs. So here I am. It is what it is, but I'm gonna keep making stuff. But I think that I just think that this is like a really important thing to talk about.
Okay, this right here. This right here. And I think this one is cute. I haven't optimized
It is cute. It's very cute.
it because I haven't used this one in forever. But this one you guys won't even know. Because I looked at it like a few... This is a model for free on the Steam Workshop. And I made it look like my character. This thing is free. Go to the Steam Workshop and type in Fox. And that's what you get. That's all I did. This is so cute. This one is so cute.
The government doesn't want you to know this, but the VTubers are free. You can just take one. For legal reasons, this is a joke.
You can just... Kate's is for free. You can just kidnap her. And then...
Okay, now she's gonna move on to her next model. So here is where I'm going to push back, like serious pushback for the first time. We know that you can get a free model, but we have also seen a couple of examples of issues we don't want to deal with regarding free models. And that is when you get a free model, you usually cannot create merch with that model. Now, if you're just starting, and I mean you're just starting, like today you decided you wanted to be a VTuber, that should not matter to you. You are not going to have enough of a following to give a about merch. But if you make that model your main model, and we know, like, we saw this happen with Fillion. Fillion uses a model, and I want to say it's a free to use model, but she uses a model that's made by someone as like a base model that you can customize, a customizable model. That's the term I'm looking for. She uses a customizable model, and she tried to make merch for herself, and the original model artist was like, no, you can't do that. I made that model. That model's mine. You can't make merch out of that. Or you have to pay me. So that messed with Fillion's business and how she wanted to do business. And I suspect likely is the reason that she's been on hiatus so long is she's waiting for an artist to take 5 years to eventually get around to giving her new art for her model. But by the way, that was meant to be facetious and a joke at deadpan, and I'm sorry if it didn't come off that way. I was calling back to previous jokes. But that is one reason why we do not like the idea of free online models. The other reason is we saw an example of this with Powder. The person who created the model has a certain ideological bent, and when they discovered that someone with an opposing ideology was using their model, they tried to get that person in trouble legally for using their model by saying, you are not allowed to use my model because I believe you're an evil piece of don't deserve to use my model. So that is another problem that we don't want to face. And again, I will admit to Kitsu's point, if you're just barely starting off, you're like brand new, you probably don't have to worry about that unless you intend to come right out the gate with your political opinions, because if that's what you're going to do, be ready to get shat upon, my friend. I would start with something non-political if I were you. That being said, these are, in my opinion, from what I've seen of other pro-AI arguments for this specific point, these are the two primary sources that they go back to say you can't make merch off of a free model because the free model is owned by someone else and I want to own my own thing. Something that Leaflet directly addressed in hers, they were asked, do we have commercial rights to a model we make with your system? And she directly said, it's your model, go nuts, or do what you want, something to that effect. Ergo, you have free like you take this adventurer model. I think one of the major things that's more important than whether or not it's AI or not is the fact that this system is made by someone who is not going to come after you if you try to make merch or you say a political opinion she doesn't like. Ergo, it's safer for a lot of VTubers who feel they might get into some level of drama. And drama, hey, it's a real good way to drum up views. So, you can't really blame these people for wanting to do some degree of drama, be a drama tube or whatever. You have someone like Rev Says Desu, for example, who he's in drama all the time. If he was using a free model made by a leftist, he probably would get told he can't use that that model. So Leaflet's Leaflet system fixes that problem. But I will say, in fairness, that's not an issue of the function of the system itself, so much as it is an issue of someone who decided to fix a problem within the artist cultural sphere by not engaging in certain business practices with a system they created. So I will give you that, at least. But that is one of the primary reasons why a lot of people, upon seeing the system, prefer it to free models on the internet.
Let me find Ghost. This is a $30 model.
I actually remember this model. When I first started watching her, she was using this model.
You see her, you still think Kitsu. Wow.
I tried to prompt myself. Had to make an effing 200+ word essay to get anything decent.
Wow, so you're like a prompt artist now? Is that what you're saying? You put in a lot of effort texting? You put in a lot of effort typing on your keyboard? Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're saying? Yes. You want a cookie for that?
All right, Kitsu, this is the first time I'm going to have an emotional response to what you say. That right there is elitist as it is. Just because the work I did isn't the work you do to make something doesn't mean that it was worthless or not worth my time. It doesn't mean that it resulted in nothing worthwhile at all. And I think you're being like very cruel to say it like that. Also, I don't know if she said this yet, but she's going to, I think. You're a prompt artist or a prompt engineer. I've already stated on a thing on her video, I don't really care if you don't want to call me an artist. That's fine. Artist is a title. If we want to make a decision that that title does not extend to people who prompt imagery in AI, that's fine. I don't think there's an issue with coming up with a different title for that. I think that's totally fair. But then she's like, prompt engineer. I'm like, I would love to hear your suggestion for what else you want to give us as a title if we can't have that one. I cannot agree with you on this. I'm still trying, just so we're clear, I'm still trying to meet you at the middle, but I have to genuinely and vehemently disagree with you here. This is completely inappropriate way to talk to somebody who spent 2.5 hours working their ass off trying to adapt and figure out how to come up with an image for themselves, right? This person, now I don't know if this person was coming from the part of AI's dumb because it took me this long to get it to generate me, or if it's coming from the perspective of this isn't just like make pink fox and then it makes Kitsu. Like obviously you have to do a lot more work to get the specific nuances of your character down. And like I just showed a little bit ago, so how long some prompts can get and how much effort. And sometimes even that long prompt, you got to go edit it. Like you go in and you say, I need you to change this. Now I need you to change that. And now I need you to change this. And you might spend a long time generating ultimately one generation that works for what you want. And this way of reacting to that makes that sound like, at least from your perspective, all of my time and effort was worthless and I should be treated like an unintelligent child for having done it. And that's mostly from like the sort of attitude in the voice, by the way, that I'm getting that particular bent that I'm like, you're kind of, you have like, oh, did you work hard? Do you want me to acknowledge your work? And that's ass. I'm just going to be honest. That's ass. I do want, again, I want to be very genuine and that I don't think that you are attacking us at large. I don't think that you're trying to hurt anybody, but yeah, I can't agree with you on this attitude regarding it. Just because the work isn't something that you would do or something that you think is worth your while doesn't mean it isn't worth other people's while to do.
Do you want a cookie for that? Do you want some applause? Do you want to be hired as a prompt engineer? Like, I support traditional artists, but also AI artists, so it is what it is. I wouldn't even call them artists because they're not, like, drawing anything. To be an artist, you have to put creative thought into it. I don't think...
We do put creative thought into it.
I personally don't think that's true. You can disagree with me. You can. I just don't think that's true. I don't think it should be called AI art. I do it too! Okay, I do it too because it's in my brain. I just don't think you can call anyone an AI artist because what people do, they just put a prompt into a system. I think
So I want to make sure something's clear here. Kitsu, I'm addressing you directly right now. You just had someone told you that it took them 2 hours of effort and time to create a prompt. And then you turn around and you say, oh, you just put this prompt in and then generate whatever you want. You were just given evidence that is not the case, and you turn around and you just completely discard that evidence as though it does not work. Now, I know that you're not trying to make like a genuine, like hardcore argument or anything, but I want to point out that it is arguments that do things like this that get our feathers ruffled. You know, you say you have to make something creative. We do make something creative. Just because the tool we use to express it is different from your tool doesn't make it less creative. And this is where a lot of AI people start getting that, like, we get prickly and we're like, okay, fine, well, then you artists, we'll do what we want, and if we destroy your entire industry, who gives a you don't like us anyway. That is why people come into feeling like this. This is where this starts. I don't want to be that guy, and I don't want the other AI artists or AI prompt engineers, whatever you want to call them, to be those people either. But you've got to give us room to have a back and forth with you. I don't think there's a problem. Like you said earlier, you don't want to call us artists. I'm probably gonna catch some flack for this. I said it earlier and I'll say it again now. If you do not think that prompting something with an AI should count as art, and thus you should not be called an artist for prompting something with AI, I don't even think that that's a particularly egregious thing to say to me. At the end of the day, artist is just a title. I don't need that title to do what I want to do. If we want to give what I do a different name and a different title, that's fine. I don't really care. I'm okay with that. I'm still gonna make cool shit, and who wants it is going to buy it. So that's the way it is. That's how markets work. But when you come at it from this angle, where you're being very like dismissive of the effort and the time and the creativity that is necessary to create a good prompt in order to create something that actually looks good or moves smoothly if it's an animation, etc., this is where a lot of AI users feel that they are being unwarrantedly attacked because they are creative. And I did say this in my comment to her video as well, just because I use a different tool, but I wrote the story and I wrote the characters and I came up with the locations and I described them and I described the locations. If you want to call me a prompt author or a prompt engineer, then that's fine. I don't care. Whatever title, it doesn't matter. It doesn't need to be artist. But don't tell me I'm not creative just because I didn't use a pencil or a brush.
This thing with AI is okay. I think shitposting with AI is absolutely okay. You know how this RAM
I think whether you thought it was okay or not, people are going to do it. But I'm with her. Obviously, shitposting with AI is fine. And it's also a lot of fun. You should give it a try sometime.
prices being high,
We discussed this earlier. I don't think she's actually aware of this fact, so I'm just gonna say I don't think she's trying to hurt anyone. She's using the data points that she has, and she's not aware that this one's been updated yet. So that's not really on her. You could argue maybe she didn't do enough research, but I'd argue with the work she does every week, she doesn't have time for that. So I'm not gonna hold her accountable for this one.
I don't think AI bros have a right to complain about that because they directly contributed to it. I don't think you have the right to complain. Know how there's RAM prices being high? I don't think AI bros have a right to complain about that because they directly contributed to it. I don't think you have the right to complain about RAM prices being high. You directly contributed to it.
Okay, now, under the information she has, I'm operating under the assumption she is not aware that it has been proven that the AI data centers are not the reason RAM prices are going up. I'm sure that they brought them up some, but not exorbitantly. That was a cabal of 3 major RAM companies that decided that they were going to set a huge price, and then they were just going to blame AI data centers to be the reason why, so that they didn't have to take blame for predatory practices. Again, I am assuming she is not aware of that, and therefore she is coming from a place where, as far as she knows, the AI data centers are the reason RAM prices went up. In that world, in that universe, I would argue she's correct. That if the data centers are the reason that RAM prices went up, then you're right. If you are regularly using AI to do your business, you don't really have room to complain that the RAM prices went up because you contributed to it. That's fine. I think that's a totally reasonable take. The only reason that it is wrong is because of information that I don't think she's aware of, so I can't really hold her accountable in that regard. As I said earlier, when I mentioned that RAM price thing at the beginning of the video, I'll put something in for the video that you should look for to go watch, because they go over who's responsible and what happened and the current court case that's being made against them, so that you can have the information and you can be aware of that fact.
No, people don't want to hear it. People don't want to hear it. They don't. Okay, first of all,
People don't want to hear it is probably true. I imagine there are probably AI bros complaining about the price of RAM. And at this point, I would say it's justified for them to do so because it turns out it's not their thing that brings RAM prices up. But prior to that knowledge, yeah, I can see people not wanting to hear it, but still it being legitimate.
get it. There's a lot of entitled artists, okay? There's a lot of entitled artists. And I'm not defending those. I hate those all the same, okay? But again,
We're in agreement on that.
not all artists are that way. I've worked with so many kind, amazing human beings for art, okay? When I commission people, okay?
Full disclosure, I've only worked with 4 artists so far in my time trying to create the Lore Master Leonis brand. I've been doing this for something like 4 or 5 years now. This is just the only time it's ever like gained any traction. And I will say one of those artists was my brother, so he always delivered on time and he always gave me something good. One of those artists was the artist I talked to you guys about earlier, Ico Streams on Fiverr, and she never gave me any problems. She delivered everything on time and I've never had any issues with her. I haven't talked to her in a little while. I had a project plan that I wanted to do with her and that sort of fell through, so it is what it is. But I think she does good art, and more importantly, she delivers on time and she communicates very well. So I appreciate that. And granted, Fiverr helps with that. Fiverr has rules you have to follow. So I didn't have any issues with her. But I also had 2 other artists, well, not named, that I worked with that took my money and I never saw anything from them again. So I'm in agreement with you that the scumbag artists need to go.
Okay? So many kind, amazing human beings. The vast majority. No.
Saying human beings is sort of one of those things where it's like she's very much positioning herself in that regard against AI because AI is a machine and I want art made from human beings. I meant to put this at the beginning of the video, but I suppose I could put it here. I will admit that as someone who, my dad was an IT tech and my uncle worked on chip computers. So I grew up in a household where I knew a lot about technology and what was happening with it as I grew older. And like I was probably savvy to a lot more tech speak than most kids my age were. And what I do recall is when AI was starting to develop in the late 2000s. Technically it started before that, but when they like really started boosting it and talking about it. One of the things that I remember being discussed a lot was that it was ultimately going to end up making a lot of work much easier to do, much more automated, etc., etc. But I remember something that came up a lot is that there was this concept that like, oh, of course, it's going to revolutionize certain industries and it's probably not even going to touch other industries. And one of the industries they thought it would never touch was art. And their belief was you'll never be able to get a machine to replicate human creativity. And I think something we should genuinely consider in regards to the feelings of artists that I don't think I've heard anyone broach as a subject. And I think we should take the time to at least think about it and decide how we feel about it. And I think lots of AI bros will probably say, don't care, don't give a they're bitches, and it is what it is. But for those of you who have the capacity to think about this and try to see where they're coming from on it, when you lived in a world that told you for decades that there's no way this automated system will ever be able to replicate what human creativity can do. They'll never be able to do art, for example, because that is pure human creativity. And then it did. Whether the intention was there or not, which I don't think there was really an intention by AI companies to do this. They just figured out, oh, I can do this with this as well? Well, sure, I should do that and make another service. I'd be willing to wager a lot of the art industry feels very betrayed by that reality. They were told for a long time, there's no way AI will ever be able to touch your industry because it's all human creativity. And then it absolutely did touch their industry. And it threatens to put a lot of people out of work. Not everybody, by the way, but there are going to be people who lose work. Like I think riggers, for example, will definitely lose work over, I don't think Leaflet's AI Vtubing program is going to do that, but the fact that she's made it has opened a sort of Pandora's box that other people can look at and go, oh, well, she can make that for PNG tubing. What could I make for live 2D tubing? And once that happens, you're gonna run out. I think riggers are going to lose their jobs, and that's going to include the good riggers and the bad riggers. Like everybody's going to lose out if you have a system that can just automatically rig better than any regular rigger can. And I think probably within 2 to 5 years we'll probably have that, and that sucks. You're going to go the way of carriage drivers and horse horse breeders, a lot of horse breeders, there was still room for horse breeders afterwards. And there's technically still room for carriage drivers, but it's like a novelty. It barely exists as anything, and it doesn't make a lot of money. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. I think though that, like I said, a lot of people just feel betrayed because this technology was not supposed to infringe upon their industry, and it has infringed upon their industry. And not only has it infringed upon their industry, but the people running it are going, it does better than you, and you shouldn't even be angry I'm here. And from their perspective, it's like, but you said you would never come here. You said you wouldn't invade me, and you're invading me. You know, I think that is a feeling that I don't even know if all the artists are completely conscious of, but just because it was said so much back in the day that AI would never be able to replicate human creativity. AI is a machine, it's ones and zeros, it'll never be able to replicate human creativity. And they really feel like they're getting attacked by this and probably betrayed. And I'd be willing to bet a lot of the, especially younger artists, don't even know about that. And I would bet that if you talk to some old head artists, they would tell you they feel betrayed. I'd be willing to bet money that there's some of them that feel that way.
With that out of the way, okay? Entitled artists, absolutely don't like them, okay? True. But be so for real, okay? Be so for real. AI bros, they can be just as toxic.
That is true. I will give her that. That is true. I have seen some AI bros that are just like, screw everything, artist. AI is the way of the future. Adapt or die, bitch. And I'm like, don't have any room to like have a discussion. So I've told people to adapt as well. I hope I didn't come off as adapt or die, but my you should adapt argument is more like the situation is what it is, and no amount of complaining about it is going to alter that. The companies have made it really clear what they want to do with AI moving forward into the future, and it's very unlikely that you're going to change their minds. So for your own sake, adapt so you don't drown. And that's more where I'm coming from it. It's less like this like adapt or die bitch attitude, and more of like, I want you to adapt so you are not hurt when this gets worse, because it's going to get worse.
They can be just as toxic. And I don't want to hear anything else, because I've seen it with my own eyes. I've seen both sides. I've seen absolutely both sides. And you know what? If you go into the comments of Leaflet's AI thing, there's so many people, okay, not all of them, absolutely not all of them, but there's so many people that are just saying, I can't wait for the artists to cease. I can't wait for all the artists to get out of their jobs. I can't wait for artists to go down.
Now, this is where I was saying I think she came into this video somewhat defensive. She, as an artist, has seen this. And correct me if I'm wrong, Kitsu. If you're not an artist, please correct me if I'm wrong. But I was under the impression you did art as well, that you draw and you do art as well. And so it would make sense that you would feel attacked by this, and she came into this discussion already a little bit defensive, or she came into this discussion intending to be very middle of the road, but then when she recalled the situation, it pulled up her emotional defensive, why would you say that to me? You know, kind of thought process, put her in that headspace. This is why I was saying at the beginning of the video, like, understand that she's coming from this, she's seen this, and this is why. I do want to take a moment to look at these videos, because I really did try to find these comments, and maybe they're just way far down here. I'll do some decency and I'll go way far down, because I think you probably looked at this well before I did. There's three videos that I'm aware of. If there are more, please let me know. If I'm missing something, please let me know. To my knowledge, there are 3 videos Leaflet has put up on her channel or on her X account regarding this thing. So I'm gonna see if I can find some. So I'm not really understanding your videos on there. This one is I guess there is some errors in it. Probably not. So I guess most reaction videos, please know. See, we got free. We got for this. AI. Have to letter. Try to sign in. Relate this. Innovative class. By the way, I'm not doing this to like on Kitsu. I'm trying to find this because I want to see what she's looking at. Like why she got I'm not gonna I'm finding this. She says this was solid I'm not seeing her saying try to do this is there on your show. She's helping you and this. So far I'm seeing mostly AI takes on this. I don't know this cool stuff. This year I might be This one might be considered an have vague. But it's honest conversation, but it's used as a wide term people or people psychology. We get this soon. I think you're really the audience. Really good focus, competence, idea. Any questions about using style, so I source use. If I put literally with only using style, not take source changes. That's a question, but it's not simply another question. Just more stuff about that. Are using sounds? First, again, I'll be honest. I'm not seeing. This is time for everything. Tell you, like, not honest, so don't get with that. What is this? I don't know what it's talking about. I'm not saying. These are my guy. This is my guy. I'm not really seeing any ones. Go away. Put your in a row. Here's the people. You may love the results. Watch the video. Okay. Yeah, maybe we're seeing where we're seeing. Put your in a row. There's a different this. Okay. I'm not seeing. I don't know if I showed with like or an artist. Real artists should start sending their McDonald's applications or time. Okay. Here we go. Okay. So she's not bullshitting. It does exist. We found one. Okay, so she said it was so many. Maybe it's just been a long time. I don't want to assume Kitsu is lying to me. I don't think she is. Maybe it's just been a minute since she looked at the comments and a lot more have been added since then. Yeah, here's what I was saying before. I have a question, just curious, can a user gain profits from this? It's your stuff, do whatever you want with it. This right here is one of the major reasons people like this program, because I don't have to worry about the artist who made the free model coming after me if I want to make merch with my customized model. There was definitely some anti-artist sentiment. We found at least a little bit. There are a ton of responses on those videos, and I do not have time to go through all of them. I'm very sorry, Kitsu, that I wasn't able to show more. I don't want to insinuate you were lying, but I did go looking through them, and it looks like a lot of that sentiment wasn't there. I don't know. Maybe if you can direct me to exactly which video you were watching, I'd be more than happy to make a follow-up and show, hey, here's where you go, and you'll see what she was talking about. I don't think Kitsu's lying about this. I think, and not even just Kitsu, like just if anyone who's maybe more anti-AI would be able to point me in a direction, or someone who's aware, even if you're not anti-AI. But I'm open to this. If you can show me where there was a lot of anti-art sentiment, I would be very happy to show that, because I don't want to come out here and call her a liar, and I don't want to come out here and give people reason to think that she's just spewing nonsense for no reason. I am trying to do my best to show that she's coming from a place where she saw this sentiment and she felt defensive about it. I am trying to give her every ounce of benefit of the doubt for that. I'm not out here trying to say anything against her. So that was my attempt to find anti-sentiment. We did find a little bit, and it was vitriolic, but for the most part, it seems like most of the sentiment around Leaflet's videos are just sort of, this is amazing, this is cool, when can I have access? Oh, I've been trying it, this is so cool. Oh, I had this problem, how can we fix it? That seems to be more where people are coming from.
Genuinely that. It was so many comments. It was so many comments of it. It's insanity. And now, again, there's nothing against Leaflet, okay? You guys know I like Leaflet. Leaflet is a great person. I got absolutely zero against Leaflet. Leaflet has defended me, I've defended Leaflet, we've talked, we've DM'd. I like Leaflet. I think Leaflet is a good person overall. I just hate AI. Leaflet.
So, see, now this is another nuanced take that I'm glad she brings up. She likes Leaflet. She doesn't like this thing that Leaflet does. She disagrees with it. And I think that's totally fine. You're going to end up with people that you like in your life, but you don't like some of the things they do. And you're going to be maybe even very vehemently opposed to those actions. But that doesn't mean you think they're a bad person or they're trying to destroy the world or something. You just think they made something that from their perspective seemed like a really great idea, and you just really don't think it's a good idea.
It's true, Leaflet. The problem is the art community. If there's no VTuber community, there's no art community. You can't put in all artists.
I think she meant that the other way around. If there's no art community, there's no VTuber community. No, she did not. Okay, I see where she's coming from here. This is that sphere argument. Again, Arbel Gaming was where I heard this first. There is no VTuber community as a whole. There is a VTuber sphere, and there are many communities within the sphere. There's not an artist community as a whole, There's a art sphere, and there are many people and many communities in the art sphere. And the same with AI. AI does not have a community. There is an AI sphere, and there are many communities in the AI sphere. I would wager that the medical AI community is very different from the art AI community, for example.
Listen to one vote. You just cannot. You just can't do that. Leave it as great.
She's right about that, by the way. You can't put everyone who does a certain set of actions into the same boat. That's not a good way to put that. You can't put everyone that's in a sphere in the same boat. So, like, everyone who's an artist and does art, not all of them are the same kind of people. They do different types of art. You know, like a great example is Skybrows does CGI art, and that informs a lot of his AI video making. And it's very different than, say, someone who does, like, I want to say it's Dan Harmon, isn't it? Who makes the Half Ghost Boy. Damn it, I'm forgetting. Danny Phantom. I want to say it's Dan Harmon, right? Who makes Danny Phantom. And, like, his art community is going to be a very different community than the CGI art community or, like, the anime art community, I would think. They have, like, they're different groups within the same sphere. They're all artists, but they're not all the same. And that's what she's trying to say, and I think that's reasonable.
Greater community, not always. Yeah, because it has a lot of AI bros. Again, not calling all of them, but AI bros can be so toxic. Again,
I think you would also find, if you took some time to get to know a lot of the AI bros, the vast majority of them, very similar to you, they feel like they're being attacked for no good reason. They're very prickly and defensive. But if you kind of got past that and had a real conversation, you'd find they're not really that bad. They're totally normal people for the most part. Yes, there are a few AI bros who are really about it, and they're really, like, they are more than happy to say some horrible, heinous shit. And I'm not supporting that. That's a specific subset of AI bros. But also, don't swath everyone with the same brush on that either. Because there's, like, medical AI bros, and there's, like, labor AI bros, and there's technology or programming AI bros. And then you also have, like, the generative AI bros. And these are all different subsets of the AI bro groups. And they're not all the same community. So I would caution you, Kitsu, similar to your own advice about artists earlier, don't lump all the AI bros into one boat either, because we're not all a singular community. There are multiple AI bro communities. So, like, for example, you have just in the Skybrows sort of orbit, you have the Sky Bros, which just refers to all the people who sort of saw what Skybrows did and wanted to follow in his footsteps. You have, like, Skynet, that was one group of people that worked with Skybrows, and you have the Pod, which is another group of people that's been working with Skybrows more recently. And like, not everyone, like, there's a lot of people who have their feet in all three of those groups, but not everyone from each group interacts with the others. So they're different groups of people, and there's overlap, certainly, but they're not the same groups or the same communities, and it's important to remember that on our side as well. So just like not all the artists should be put in one boat, don't put all of us in one boat.
And I like Leaflet. I got nothing against her. You can like someone you disagree with, and it's crazy that people can't do that anymore.
It is so crazy that people can't do that anymore.
The
It's
one
really
thing that bugs
crazy.
me a lot is when entitled artists complain about others using AI for art. When a lot of times on Twitter some artists are gaslit by others to not work with so cuss so and so.
Okay, hold on. Let me go back and make sure I heard that correctly.
Artist complain.
People can't do that anymore.
The
It's
one
really
thing that bugs
crazy.
me a lot is when entitled artists complain about others using AI for art.
Okay, entitled artists using AI for art.
When a lot of times on Twitter some artists are gaslit by others to not work with so cuss so and so.
Okay, so if I'm understanding correctly what that claim is he saying what bothers him is when you have artists, specifically the really elite, the elitist, he used a different word there and I'm struggling to remember it, entitled. So he's saying when an entitled artist complains that you use AI, but then tries to get other artists not to work with you, with you or with someone else because you're associated with someone they don't like. If I'm understanding correctly, that is the situation he is referring to.
You want a truth
sometimes
nuke?
those people don't have a choice, I feel.
Sometimes those people don't have a choice, I feel.
Absolutely not true. You want a truth nuke? People hated me for me giving a bad opinion. Me writing a bad review for someone on VGen a while back. I still am working with hundreds of artists. Hundreds others have blacklisted me. And I don't care, I just take my business to another artist.
Again, to her point, she's not wrong. There are lots of artists that won't work with you if you use AI, but there are artists who don't care. They just want to make their money. And I've experienced that too. I talked to you earlier about Ico Streams, who made the model you're seeing on the screen now. So to her point, yes, there are artists that will work with you regardless, and you can take your business elsewhere. She's completely correct about that.
There's always another fish, absolutely. Chat, for the people that have been here longer, I've been called a Nazi. I've been called the worst things, okay?
A while back, don't remember exactly how back, but she was using this model back then. I'm pretty sure. She basically said men deserve to be loved too, and Twitter tried to eat her alive, and instead it made her a lot more popular, and it pulled her into sort of the more right-wing sphere, YouTube and Twitter. That's how, by the way, that's kind of how she got to meet Leaflet and some of the other folks on the right wing over here. Do keep in mind, again, she's German, and I'm pretty sure she lives in Germany, and her idea of what's right-wing or left-wing or what's normalized or not normalized may be very different from ours. We live in America, we have a different political system, and we have a different political setup and issues that we're dealing with.
I've been called a see. That's not cool.
It's double not cool for her because she's German and she really truly isn't a Nazi. And so like, because the Nazis entrenched in Germany, it's easier to like slap that label on Germans, I feel.
I've been doxxed. I've been called a right-wing grifter when I don't even talk politics. And
mostly she doesn't talk politics. I will say we consider something like men should be loved too a political statement. That's just why I said to be careful because she's German. She doesn't run in the same political vein as we do. Because I heard Skuchan mention this as well, to go back to her. She said, I don't even understand how that's a political take. We're all human. Of course we should all have love. How is this political? And she meant it. She did not get why anyone thought it was political. And I could see her coming from the same place. Like, what do you mean? How is saying that men deserve love too a political statement? I'm just stating a fact.
Yet, I still have people working with me on art. I still have people that I can work with. So saying that all artists will stop working with you is just not truthful. I just do not believe in that. If you're trying to commission someone who's absolutely completely left-leaning and extremely political, of course they won't commission you if you're like right-wing, okay? But just find someone else. Just a few months back, I made a post saying I was being angry. Okay. Story time!
I'm imagining she's about to go into her story that I just described where she said that men deserve love too. Saying about half an hour of video, TLDR. Kitsu had drama with art review. Oh, maybe that's a different one. I don't know. I do remember her mentioning a moment ago about giving a bad review on a VGen artist because she thought that VGen artist deserved it. That is what it is. Biggest nothing burger I've ever seen. Somehow people still got mad. Yeah, that's the internet for you.
Either way, both me and the artist, okay? We didn't name each other. We didn't really want to talk about it publicly. Other people came in, looked for the review, and posted it. And it was people who already hated me.
So unfortunately, this is just a sad reality of the internet, is there are a lot of people who are looking for a way to go after you if you are someone who espouses beliefs that they dislike or find distasteful. And then there's also like the drama people. They're just looking for drama. If I didn't see any of this, so I don't know what this situation was, I'm going to take her at her word and say that she's telling the truth, that she and the artist did not name each other. I don't know enough about the situation to go find it or look into it and figure out who said whatever. I don't think she's lying, to be honest. I don't think she'd have a reason to lie about this. So she's saying the two of them both said statements about what happened, but purposely didn't put each other's names in it, because that way you can make the complaint. You can say, this is a legitimate problem I had with a customer, or this is a legitimate problem I had with an artist, without necessarily flaming the other person and destroying their business about it. Hopefully, the artist can walk away taking a lesson from this and figuring out a way to better situate themselves in their art to not have this happen again, and she can walk away learning a lesson about the artist community or the artist group that she was working with, and better her future interactions with artists as well. That's the ideal situation. Unfortunately, you posted it publicly on the internet, so people are going to go digging and looking for what's going on, and then if they don't like you, they're going to bring it about, look what a terrible person this is. And if they don't like the artist side of it, they're going to dig it up and say that about the artist. So there's always going to be people who do this. It's the same people who like sit here and try to drama farm with a bunch of extra stuff.
And because of that, artists saw that and they blocked me because they didn't actually really look into what actually happened.
That's also an unfortunate reality, is people don't look into what actually happened. This was something I mentioned, I don't think it was on her video. I think I was having a discussion on X. There's an artist who very publicly refused an art commission because they sent her an AI mock-up as a reference image. Now, I think that is like the most lukewarm thing to do with AI. That's what I did for Ico streams for this, is I made a mock-up in AI, and then I sent that to her and say, make it look similar to this. And then I sent her a thing where like, change this thing about the image, change that thing about the image. And then we end up with what you're looking at on screen right now. What I mean by that is like, I sent her the review, the mock-up image, and then I sent her instructions like, this image more or less captures what I want. However, I also want you to change these specific things, because I couldn't get the AI to like change that at the time. To be fair, I could get the AI to change it now. At the time, I didn't really know anything about using AI, so I made a really dumb prompt, to be blunt. But it's great for making like a basic mock-up. So there was a very public case of an artist refusing a commission because they sent her an AI mock-up, and how dare you? And my take on that is, you're going to push a lot of people who are on the fence over the fence into the AI sphere when they realize that they can't even use the AI just to give you a visual mock-up, because they don't themselves possess like the skill to draw. And so they're trying to get you to draw something for them, and they wanted to give you a visual thing to work with so you had an idea of what they were talking about when they described things to you. And you said no. At that point, you're going to push, some of those people are going to just be like, oh, well, I guess I can't do anything, and they're going to move on, or they're going to go to another artist. And some of those people some people who see that are going to do that. But the big thing is, most of the people who see that event occur, they're not going to do research to find out if that individual is normal for artists. They're not going to go find out, like, is this normal? Do artists normally do this? Because if they're just going to go, oh my God, artists do this now? Guess I better just use AI. There's going to be a lot of people who do that. There's also going to be a lot of people on the other side who are like, that's very good of you. That was amazing of you to do. And they'll try to get more business towards you, theoretically. My personal opinion is that the left does a lot of virtue signaling, but doesn't actually push business your way, which is consistent. They don't really want there to be private business. They want everything to be very socialistic, communistic, about the people. So it makes sense that they wouldn't push business in a particular direction or another. But anyway, she's correct that you can just go to other artists.
The person made it out as if I was like human scum, as if I was human scum, as if I just destroyed her career. By the way, the 1 star only put her down to a 4.5. She still had a 4.5 rating. It's insane. The way people came at me for it is insane. Either way. It was already someone who was already hating me. It was already someone who hated me, so they made a post about it, like completely inserting themselves into the drama. There was no drama between me and the artist. We had a disagreement. I even offered to pay more. And people are like, oh, she just wanted the cheap commission. Why didn't she just buy an actual, like, why didn't she buy just a design where she could actually go for it? Because I like the person's art and she only offered a scab. And again, like, that's personally why I think we don't need an AI tool to make a VTuber model. Like, because you hate.
If I really want to get down to brass tacks, she's technically correct. We don't need an AI tool for that. You can do it by other means, but I would push back on this, and there's no good reason we shouldn't make an AI tool for that, in my opinion. I imagine you disagree with me on that, and that's probably one of these things we aren't going to come to an agreement about. It is what it is. I have my opinion, and Kitsunero has hers. So realistically, I think you don't need it, but it's nice to have. I think there's no reason not to have it. It's a good option for people who are starting out. It's a free option for people who are starting out. And it kind of gives you an option to say, like, you know, do you want to support this kind of technological, like, emergent technology thing? If you don't really like that emergent technology, you always have the option to go find yourself a free model. Just understand there will be you'll be able to accelerate your commercial use of your model by using the AI process that Leaflet made. You'll be able to do that sooner in the process of you becoming a content creator. You'll be able to start making merch sooner, which could give you an advantage in terms of making money and getting somewhere with it. With the other method, you're going to have to wait until you go from a free customizable model to a paid customizable model with permission, paying for the permission for commercial use before, or at minimum, you'll have to get a paid customizable model and then also pay for the rights to the commercial right to use. And that is the earliest that you'll be able to make merch or do commercial use of your product. Again, I think there's very little difference when you're first starting out because you're not going to have a lot of people looking at you yet. I mean, I'm not even big. Hell, I've been at this since February this year with eyeballs on me, and I'm still not even at 200 subscribers on YouTube. So like, you're not going to grow. For most people, you're not going to go viral and grow overnight. It's going to be a long crawl of building and building and building over time. So that's kind of what you're looking for one way or another. So going off of that, I think you're not going to find a lot of difference between the two options when you're just starting out. But what you will find is that you might reach a point where you're ready to start working on like merch ideas and stuff, and you can't do that right now because you have a free customizable model and you don't have commercial use permissions. You will need to go buy a customizable model or buy commercial use permissions for the model you presently have. And in fairness, that could be not very expensive, or it could be exorbitantly expensive. I don't actually know. I think that kind of depends on the creator of the model. But with Adventurer program that Leaflet made, you have a guarantee out the gate that when you're ready to make merch, you can make merch and it's not going to be an issue. So I can see why that would also be very, very attractive option. So I'm of the opinion it's a very attractive option and a lot of people are going to use it. And I don't really see that there's any reason not to have it. So that's just my opinion on it. I do think that its effect on the market is less about the fact that it is being made with AI and more about the fact that you have the commercial use out the gate.
Paid artists, that's a dumb reason. That is generally a dumb reason. Because you don't have money, that's also a dumb reason. There's a lot of free options. But customizable models only start at $100. That's not true. My customizable model cost me $30. 30 and 30. So
that may have changed from the time that you got your model to now. I don't know. But there is a possibility. Prices for pretty much everything have gone up in the last decade or so. I don't know when you started streaming with the free model that you used initially, but I'd be willing to wager we're probably looking at a several year gap of time. Maybe not. She said she streamed for months with the $30 model, then got her fancier model debut. So to be blunt, I might be wrong about the timescale. I'm guessing a timescale of 2 to 3 years. I don't know for sure though. So maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe, but even if it's 1 year, 8 months is the better part of a year. So if it was like 4 months prior to that, you use the original model, then even in that year, prices may have gone up. Now I don't know for sure. I'm just kind of spitballing. It's possible that you can't get a $30 model anymore. I don't know that though. It might very well be available. If there are free models, then there's going to be free models now. That's just going to be the way it is. So she's right to say that part at least. But I could see a universe in where either a $30 model is now very difficult to find or you can't really find them anymore. I've not been on the market looking, so I don't know.
Don't think that a tool like that is needed. I don't think so, right?
Again, you're technically correct that it's not needed, but there's not a good reason to not have it, in my opinion.
It takes a mature person to agree to disagree. Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. Like, you can disagree with me, okay? You can. I don't agree with your opinion either. And I'm gonna stick to my morals, and you can stick to your morals, and that's okay. Like,
why can't more people do this? This is another one of the reasons I wanted to react to this. I truly do believe, as hard as she went on the anti-art rhetoric and as hard as she went on the AI bros in this video, I really believe that she's not trying to destroy anyone, that she is trying to like show her concerns. And you know, I'll go over what I think her major concerns are at the end of this. I don't think she's trying to hurt anyone. I don't think she's a bad person. I certainly don't think she's an enemy or someone worthy of any scorn over this set of opinions. I just wanted to kind of give sort of the opposite perspective, where from the AI side of this situation, how we feel about the very same situations that you're expressing your feelings about. And I don't know that everybody feels the way I do about it, but I can at least say what I feel about it, that I have seen some statements that seem to mirror my feelings. So I think that there is a significant portion of the AI sphere, or at least the AI art / VTuber sphere, that does feel similarly to the way I do about it, except the I don't care if you don't call me an artist thing. That has not been expressed by anyone but me. I'm the one who feels that way. That's my personal opinion, and I have a feeling that a lot of the AI bros are not going to agree with me on that. But my take is, this is a title, and it's not that important to do your job. You don't have to have this title. So if you don't want to call me an artist, I don't care. I just don't. But that's my personal take. That one specifically, do not put on the AI bro sphere. I would be willing to bet a significant amount of money that most of them vehemently disagree with that particular statement.
All I honestly want is for people to not be dicks. That's all. Just
And all we honestly want is for people to not be dicks as well, Kitsu.
don't be a dick. You can disagree with me, just don't be a dick about it, you know? That's way too much to ask, yeah.
Difference
On the internet? Yeah.
in opinion moves the conversation forward, otherwise it's just an echo chamber.
True. Now if I reacted to chat,
See, that's a good take. Difference in opinion moves conversation forward. This is why I think there's another reason why I think it's important to have this discussion. It's important for me to actually react to this and respond to this. I'm not really trying to be an ambassador of the AI brosphere or anything like that. I'm just trying to, I don't know, at least from me, I'm trying to extend a degree of olive branch. Can we talk about this like adults? Because I think overall she talked about this like an adult. She made clear her concerns. She made clear where her foot is down and she's not going to be moved about something. And she expressed a degree of willingness to sort of like go back and forth on other subjects, and that she doesn't think that the people on the other side are necessarily like inherently evil or to try to destroy the world or anything. They're just trying to live their own life their own way, but she has certain concerns about what that way might do to other people's ways of life. And that's kind of the main crux of it.
this video and like honed in on AI and AI VTubing. Even if I gave a nuanced take, I think people will get mad either way. Even if we had the conversation we just did and I posted it on YouTube, people would still get mad. Overall, I like Chacha's video, but she has the wrong angle. And
Before we talk about Chacha, I think you're right. People are still going to get mad at you. I do want to make super clear, I am not mad at you. I am not mad at Kitsunero. I think that she is probably given one of the most mature, milquetoast, middle-of-the-road arguments against AI. And when I say that, by the way, I am not trying to discredit that. By saying milquetoast, middle-of-the-road take, I am saying I think she's a great example of an average person who is viewing AI and going, you know, basically like, I don't see the problem with having AI, but when it infringes on something important to me, it bothers me. And I'll give you a really great example of what that is for me. And I've had to accept that this is not a logically consistent thought process. And so I cannot talk about it. In this case, I'm going to talk about it as an example. When I see someone write an article or I hear an AI narration that is portrayed as a person talking to you in the video, but because I've done enough AI now, I like that is 100%. They took an idea and they ran it through an AI to make it sound smoother and more professional. That bugs me because as a writer, I'm like, brother, why don't you just fucking write your own shit? But I have to catch myself because I can't draw like most of these artists can draw. And I use AI to compensate for my lack of ability to do that. It is not fair for me to do that and be okay with it and then tell someone else, why the hell can't you write your own stuff instead of using an AI? At the end of the day, that guy doesn't have the skill of writing in prose or poetry or whatever. I'm not really particularly good at poetry myself, but I do have the skill to write prose. I have that. I have essay writing skills. I have article writing skills, and I have prose writing skills. That's something I possess, and in general, I think of as I had to catch myself because I think of this as an incredibly basic skill to have that literally everyone has, and I had to catch myself and go, no, actually, that's probably not true. There are probably people who are not very good at speaking or at making articles that sound professional or at writing prose in a way that is compelling. And so they write out their idea in the best way they know how, and they run it through an AI to smooth it out and make it sound better to a general audience. And my prickle up to say like, bruh, why can't you just write your own thing is not fair to them when I'm doing that with art. With visual media. It's not fair to them at all. It's not logically consistent. I had to catch myself at one point. I caught myself being like, I don't want to watch this video because it's stupid ass AI narration. And then I had to catch myself and go, wait a minute. I cannot do that. I cannot watch this video. That's fine. But I cannot sit on that argument. That is not an acceptable place for me to be. It is hypocritical. So that's where I stand on the AI argument and in general. And it's where I come from, where I can say, I understand, I think, how artists feel when they see you using AI to create an image and they're looking at that and they snarl their nose up and they're like, the fuck can't you just make it yourself? I'm willing to bet that same feeling I get when I hear AI narration or when I see someone wrote an article or a document document using AI to smooth it out, that same feeling I get for that, I bet that's how these artists feel. And now that I know that, I'm able to engage in a different way. And I've recognized that that's not logically consistent, and I refuse to hold that argument in like a normal, like I will not make that argument. I'll never say, why the hell did you do this instead of writing it yourself, you dumbass? I'll never do that because I've recognized that. But I think for a lot of artists, they haven't reached the point yet where they recognize the logical inconsistency of saying, well, I use AI to make memes, or I use AI to do this thing or that thing I'm not skilled at, but I hate it when I see people using AI for art. And I think just a lot of people haven't reached that point where they go, oh, actually, that's not really fair for me to do, is it? But, and while I think Kitsunero probably hasn't reached that point yet, I think she's not far off from it. She doesn't seem to be condemning its use overall. She's bothered by how it is affecting her industry. And that seems to be the main thing.
I told her that. I DM'd Chacha about it. Like, overall, I liked her video, but she's using the wrong angle. Because what I said earlier, the average person will not care if an artist is out of money. Why would they? No, like, why would the average person care if someone can't make money? People care about themselves way too much, which is understandable. Like, they're gonna be like, boo-hoo, I don't care. The average person cares about the end product, and if the end product is good. I still think the tool that Leaflet made is great for non-readers to make stuff for their TTRPG groups. Maybe could be good for that. I'd still prefer normal, like, personal art, because...
So, this thing she said about Cha-Cha and saying it's the wrong angle, she is right. An average, everyday person does not care if an artist is not making money. Or, you know, to give an example of a well-known artist in the VTuber community, Nano, if her commission's dried up and she's like, oh my god, I'm not making money, I need help. I'm so far removed from that, I don't care. And it's not that I think Nano doesn't deserve money or commissions. I just like, I'm way over here. Like, I'm not in the circle of people who would even have an option or an opportunity to ever ask Nano for a model. At the point that, like, it's so far removed from my universe that I don't have brain cells to spend on that. So, and I don't think there's any reason to think that that's wrong or awful to do. You know, if you're not part of the VTuber community, you're not going to care too much about the artists in the VTuber community. I say VTuber community, VTuber sphere. I made a mistake. I'm going to continue to try to do this correctly and use the term sphere. It's a new terminology that I'm trying to force myself to do, and so occasionally I'm going to slip. So in the VTuber sphere, if you're not really about VTubers, you don't really care if a VTuber's not making money. If you're not about YouTubers, you don't really care if a YouTuber's making money. At the end of the day, when you hear, like, even I fall into this trap all the time as someone who is a YouTuber and I'm making YouTube content. I see people on YouTube be like, please support me on my Ko-Fi, and you know, I'll have the little voice in the back of my head like, bro, shut up, I'm not paying you. And like, at the end of the day, it's not that I don't think they deserve it even. It's just that, like, I'm here to watch this video and it bugs me when you interrupt that or cap it off with give me money. And even though I know full well this person is trying to make a business and make money off of it just like I am, and they deserve every ounce of consideration as to whether or not they should have that, as I do. And my brain still does that to me. So, you know, I get it where Kitsu's coming from. I think for most people, it's very difficult to, like, remove yourself from your personal position, especially if you're just casually enjoying yourself on a Sunday afternoon. Like, it's really difficult to remove yourself from your position right now and consider that other person's position in a full enough aspect to really ask yourself, like, well, okay, in this interaction, should I care and do I care? And you're just not going to do that for every video interaction you do, every video you watch, etc. You're just not going to do that.
Because it gives it more individuality. People talk about talent, but art is really just another skill. Oh, yeah.
Before we get to that, she said she prefers human-made art because it gives it a better personality. That's a totally valid opinion. I think that that's totally fine that she prefers that. And I think as we go forward in the future, you're going to find that there will be a lot of that too. I think you can put a lot of personality in AI prompting if you get good at it. But I could completely see where you would say that a direct art piece made by a person directly has more individualistic personality in it than any AI art piece. I think that's relatively fair as an opinion. I don't think there's anything wrong with that opinion. I think you will see specific things that will be repeated throughout certain AI models, no matter how uniquely you make your core concept. You're going to see certain models are going to have more certain things that is always going to be sort of an artifact of that particular AI model. So in that sense, I can see where you're coming from for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't like saying individuality. People talk about talent, but art is really just another skill. Oh yeah, absolutely. I don't like saying people are talented when they're drawing because it is a learned skill. Just pick up the pencil. Like if people are like, I wish I could draw like you, pick up the pencil, learn. And this.
Okay, now to that, I am going to say she's kind of half right and she's kind of half wrong, in my opinion. Again, this is very much a my opinion thing. Art is 100% a skill. Learning to draw is 100% a skill. Learning to paint is 100% a skill. She's absolutely correct on that. However, there is a thing called aptitude. And aptitude is like how quickly you're able to pick up a specific skill set. And different people will have different aptitude sets for different things. So when you are looking at someone who is not good at drawing, you are either looking at someone who's very early in their drawing journey and therefore they haven't learned all the skills they need yet, or you're looking at someone who even though they've been sitting here banging their head against this trying to learn their skill for years, they're just not that good at it. They don't have the aptitude for it. Now that doesn't count. I want to make sure we're clear. This is not counting people who literally can't do art because they have like, I want to say it's called aphasia or something like that, where they're physically incapable of visualizing an image in their mind. You need to be able to do that to draw. That is a required capability. And so there is a small subset of humans that simply will never have that option because they do not possess the ability to do that. That is separate from the aptitude thing. That is someone who has absolutely zero aptitude. They literally could not learn to draw to save their lives. It is unfortunate, but it is a reality for a small amount of people. So keeping that in mind, outside of that specific edge case, for the most part, people can learn to draw, but it'll be different. Like, what are they better aptitude towards? So you might be able to tell by the fact that I'm very long-winded and I'm very hyper-specific and I go from bit to bit to bit. I'm very good at things like cataloging and recalling past events and looking into things like history and writing up ideas and concepts and such. It makes sense that I'm good at prose. That's something I have good aptitude for. It makes sense that I'm good at categorizing because it's something I have a good aptitude for. I do not have a good aptitude for drawing. Not that I'm not capable of doing it, but it will take me more time and effort than it will take someone like, say, Thomas Kincaid, who used to do, I think he's dead, but he used to do these really beautiful like art drawings of like cottages and woods and stuff in America. And, you know, my aptitude for that kind of like being able to make art like that, perhaps a better example would be like Van Gogh or someone else who's similarly had a high aptitude for recreating an image in their mind on a piece of paper, you know, or on a canvas. Aptitude plus skill equals talent. So talent exists. It's just a name we gave to people who found a skill they had a high aptitude in and then just blew through the ceiling like really fast. Everyone else seemed to be like not going that well and like they're steadily learning, but they're not learning super fast. But this guy's a genius at this one thing. And he might be a genius at like 4 or 5 things. He might have aptitude in multiple things. But at the end of the day, that's kind of where that comes from. So she says she doesn't want to say they're talented. I'm going to push back a little bit and say talent's real, but there's an equation that goes into making talent. And it makes sense that you don't view it as like its own physical thing, for example. It's sort of an ephemeral thing we gave a name to that's the greater than the sum of its parts sort of thing that's created when you take high aptitude in a skill set and you apply it to the skill set that you have the high aptitude in. It creates this sort of place where you're like a prodigy in what you do or you're highly talented in what you do. So that does exist. It's a little more quantifiable, in my opinion, than people make it sound like it is.
This isn't to the eyebrows. This is to the people saying they wish they could draw like that. Let's to those people, okay? Eyebrows are a completely different topic right now.
So another thing I want to say about this is like the pick up the pencil and learn. There's one other thing that I like to say towards this. Now, this is from me as a 36-year-old man coming into this conversation. I'm saying at this point in my life, I do not believe that sitting down to learn how to draw for the next several years, for the time I believe it will take for me to learn to do it at that skill level, at my level of aptitude, I think that is too much time. I need something to happen sooner than that. AI gives me the opportunity to make this happen faster. I have things things that I need to accomplish in the next few years, and I need them to be accomplished in the next few years. I don't need to spend the next few years learning how to accomplish them. And that's not going to be everyone's position. If you're 18 to 20 years old, you're just out of school, just getting into college, you've got a lot of time. If you want to learn to draw and do art, I would actually encourage you to do so, even if you want to use AI, because as you learn art theory and as you learn a lot of the language and jargon around art, you're going to be able to use that to better express to an AI how to do something when you need an AI to do something that you can't do. Very similarly to how I use my ability to write prose and to describe things and categorize things, I do that, and I'm able to utilize that to explain something to an AI in a way that other people might not do. And I can get certain things out of an AI that maybe other people don't get out of their AI. I don't know. I've only just started down the path of proper AI workflow for video. So hopefully we see some good stuff come out of that in the near future, but we'll see.
But I suck at drawing and I suck at AI. I only do meme videos. Bro, your meme videos are funny. And you know what? I think that
you suck at drawing and you suck at AI. You don't have to suck at either of those things. But if you have better aptitude for something else, go find the something else you have better aptitude for, bro. Like, there's something out there that you have good aptitude for, and if you find it and you utilize it, I'm sure you can skyrocket into an amazing place in the world.
that's great too. Because editing is also a creative job. I love the creative freedom that people put into edited videos. You see the videos that Coellen edits for me?
I wish I could show you guys the clip of the video Ripple's working on for Cyberpunk. It's so good. So I'll be like, here, edit this, just do it in your style. And then he'll be like, hey, let me show you what I did. Here's the first 5 minutes edited. And I'm like, God, that's amazing. He put so much personality into it that is not in my talking points.
Me sometimes. Motherfucker has beef with me. Bro, in the latest VTuber video, he's slandering my name.
He is so lucky I need to keep this video TOS or I would make that leaflet thumbnail look woke in comparison. Are we talking about the slavery one? That was a pretty spicy thumbnail for sure.
No wonder you have fired Colin like 100 times by now. I would love for AI to be a tool to be used by people to assist them, but not
It is.
to replace them. But right
I don't think it will replace people.
now, there's a lot of people that just want artists to be replaced by AI.
To this point, I think there's a lot of people who are saying artist, and what they mean is scumbag artists. What they mean is elitist artists. What they mean is entitled artists, douchebag artists, people like the artists that refuse to do a commission because they sent an AI reference sheet in. I think generally, when people are saying this, they're thinking about that, and they're saying artist in a general capacity, which, in fairness, they shouldn't do. They should specify the types of artists that they want to see suffer for what they've done. But I think most of them aren't really thinking like, I want every artist to get destroyed by this. I think they're just thinking like, these scumbags that I've had interactions with, that I've had the experience and displeasure of dealing with, I really can't wait for them to lose their job because they're lazy pieces of shit that won't do their work, and this is going to do their work for them. And I'm going to say valid crash out for that one, because you have people like Scooch-chan who are really upset about that. And she's not going to use AI for that, but you have people who don't have her skill to make art who want to see AI destroy these people. And I think Scoop probably wouldn't be overly upset to see these people go through that method, but I think a lot of the times people make a relatively generic statement. They mean it one way, but they use generic enough words it can be taken multiple ways. I genuinely don't think any of these people were truly saying that all artists need to be replaced.
Why? Because they just like have a hate for artists. And I know that's not all of them, but there's a lot of them. There are a lot of them. The people that are usually cheering for AI are cheering for the downfall for artists. And it's sad.
I have not seen that. I won't say it doesn't exist, but I have not seen it, that the people who are cheering for the upwell of AI are cheering for the downfall of artists. I don't actually see that. I do see a lot of discussion about specific subsets of artists that are scummy, and that they're really glad that this kind of work is going to probably put those people out of a job. But I just as frequently see people say, I don't think this is going to replace artists. I don't think that this is going to replace people. I think it's just going to be another option. I think it's going to be another tool. I've not personally, and this is me being in the AI sphere myself and talking from that side of things, I have not seen the degree of art hate that you are telling me exists in the AI sphere. I'm willing to give you the benefit of the doubt for the leaflet videos, but I'm going to be real honest with you. I do not see this. I genuinely do not see this. I talk to AI bros all the time. There are days I spend most of the day talking to AI bros. I have not once met one of these guys who wants to see the art industry fail because AI replaces all the artists. Not once. And that's been my experience, so I guess I'm just in disagreement with that.
Enjoy both traditional arts and AI memes or music, etc., etc. AI music can be very funny. Okay. I mean, Shot My Dog, like, what a banger. Shock, 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 shock my dog, I can stop. Absolute banger, okay? But it is slop. And we shouldn't treat it as anything else but slop. What I'm doing is slop. React content is slop. But I think you should be, like, very open about it being slop. And you should own it. You should own making slop.
Okay, so I think slop gets thrown around a bit too much. Slop, I would say slop is low quality content. It's just designed to be consumed by the largest amount of people. I think that's basically what slop is. I do not think the vast majority of a lot of the stuff the AI content creator sphere does, like their serious work, their actual work, like their actual music videos and stories and stuff. Another one I recently ran into, they're called The Archive in Between, and they tell these stories about this sort of multiverse that you can move between universes, not really with like spaceships and stuff so much as it's like you find a pathway in your universe that meets certain criteria and you can end up in like a road that moves between different universes and then exit where you find an exit to go somewhere else. Very, very cool concepts. That all being said, I think that's not slop, right? I think that's very like that guy's so creative, and he's just using AI to take what he's already written down and just create a visual medium for you to see some of the stuff he's talking about. And I think that's incredibly creative and not slop at all. I think most of what Skybrows makes is not slop. Some of it is, and it's completely on purpose, and he knows what he's doing and he's okay with it. But not all of it is. A lot of it isn't slop. It's legit creativity. Similarly, like I don't think Play Astronomica's Moving Shadows is slop. It was a very well thought out, deep song about confronting the uncomfortable parts of your existence and confronting the uncomfortable reflections that you put out on the world around you, or at least that's what I took from it. Astro said that he doesn't really like the idea of someone assigning a specific meaning to the words, but for everyone to take the meaning they want from it. I think it's way too deep to be considered slop. It's really meaningful, regardless of the tool he used to create it. But anyway, let me give a sort of conclusion to this. I think that this was a relatively fair video. She wanted to make known her concerns with AI inside of the art sphere. And her primary concerns with AI inside of the art sphere were, she thinks it is generally low quality, not always, but generally low quality, comparative to human art. She thinks it is expanding too quickly. She thinks that it is likely to threaten certain jobs, and that it's not fair for people to say you should use AI instead of using other low-priced or free options that exist on the market already. And I've said my piece about that. The free AI VTuber thing sits in a separate niche from those, in that it allows for commercial use out the gate instead of you having to wait until you can get commercial use permission later. That's the difference. That's where basically she created a program and she put that in there. It competes with the low cost and free options by doing that. This is a business strategy, a business tactic, not so much a my art should take over your art thing. Similarly, moving forward, she's also concerned with the attitude that the AI sphere shows, or specifically the AI VTubing sphere or the AI art sphere shows towards traditional artists. I have not experienced what she's experienced. I'm not going to say it doesn't exist. I don't think she's lying about it. I think people probably have said those things, and I just haven't been privy to most of that. But that's my experience. So at that point, I just have to say my experience is one thing and your experience is another. And maybe one day I will experience what you're talking about, and maybe one day you can experience what I'm talking about. But until then, we come from different parts on this, and I don't know if we can really I'll sing Kumbaya with you on that one, but I don't really agree with it. But I think those are her main concerns. is those three things, I think. And I do think she's right that some jobs are going to be overtaken by AI. Rigging will eventually get taken over by AI. And I think that's not going to be like how I feel about the art industry as a whole. I feel like that specific job is a job that's very easily replaceable by AI for a lot less money, and it will do that eventually. I think that's an inevitability, and riggers are going to lose their jobs. And I think that's going to be the entire rigging industry, not just one subgroup of it. So similarly to like how lamplighters lost their job when we got electric lamps, similarly to how like there are entire jobs that don't exist anymore. You know, there were people who made chamber pots that were specifically designed to be chamber pots. Doesn't exist anymore because you don't do chamber pots anymore. We have toilets. That's gone. There's a lot of stuff that doesn't exist anymore. There are construction styles that have been lost to time, and no one makes that anymore because technology overtook them. Nobody, not to say nobody builds pyramid structure anymore, but nobody actually seriously builds a pyramid anymore, for example. So that's unfortunate, but I don't feel the same way about artists in general. I think at the end of the day, AI is going to be a tool one can use to create art. It will be one of many tools, just like a pencil, just like a pen, just like anything else. The creativity doesn't come from the tool. It never came from the tool. A pencil is not creative. A paintbrush is not creative. A pen is not creative. A charcoal stick is not creative. An easel is not creative. A canvas is not creative. But these are all tools we use to draw and paint and create art. And AI is no different in that regard. AI is not creative. In that regard, Kitsu, you're correct. AI, the tool, is not creative. There is zero creativity in it. It is just a tool with access to data. And I'm the creative one when I use it. I choose what to use it to make. And then that final product is creative, in my opinion. And I think it's a little unfair to just say that the people using AI are not creative because they use AI. And I think it's a little unfair to say that the effort that you took to make that thing in AI is worthy of scorn with that sort of like attitude you had a little earlier in the video. You know, I would say that's a little unfair on your side to view it that way. Not to say you're not entitled to your opinion. You are, and if you view it that way and I can't convince you otherwise, so be it. It is what it is. I'll move on. But I hope in the end of this, I hope that Kitsunero can see this video and see that there are people on the AI side that would like to have this conversation. And I don't think it would just be me. I'm just the first one making a move. But there are other people that I think you would probably be able to have conversations with and learn a lot more than from me. You could probably talk to someone like Lady Wasabi or Play Astronomical or what's another really good one? The Holy Ball. Holy Ball might be a little harsher though. He's a little more about his politics than everyone else. But they're all really good AI artists. And I think if you had an opportunity to sit down and chat with them, you'd find that they're not really cruel. They don't want to replace art. They're just trying to do their own thing and have a ball and have fun. Create what they want to create. You know, a lot of us don't have the skill set to do that, and many of us don't feel we have the time to develop that skill set. And it's not really for you to determine if that's right or wrong, or for any other artist to determine that that's right or wrong. We were given a tool that can let us accomplish it in less time, and we chose to use it. But that's I want to make clear, even with all of that, you know, I think she said a lot of good points too. She said a lot of things that were important. You know, she mentioned that yes, there are elitists on the AI side as well. There are entitled people on the AI side as well. Yes, they exist. I've encountered them. There are some people who are calling for artists to be replaced. I think most of those people refer to the scumbag artists, but not, they say artists. They don't specify specifically the douchebags that take 8 months and don't communicate with me. That's who I want their jobs to be replaced. They say I want artists' job to be replaced. And there's a lot of them that will say most artists are, because that's been their experience. And, you know, I like getting to see that Kitsunero's had an overall positive experience because we get to see what that looks like from someone who has an overall positive experience with art. So we get to see it from a point of view that's not our own. And then we can sort of like take that point of view and look through it and talk about it, etc. I don't think Kitsunero is trying to attack anybody. You know, realistically, I don't think Kitsu will see this video. And if she does, I don't know that she's going to want to watch through what's probably going to be close to an hour and a half to 2 hour video by the time I get it edited. My raw right now is at 2 hours and 38 minutes. This is the longest video I've made on this channel by far, and it is what it is. So hopefully I get this edited in a reasonable amount of time and I can get it out this week. It may even take too much time for me to get another video out this week. We will see. But I do hope Kitsunero does get the chance to see this, and even if she doesn't say anything to me, I hope she can see that there are people who want to have this conversation for real and not have this conversation in just the realm of spitting and shitting on each other. But oh, I should say, by the way, here's Kitsu's channel, Kitsunero. Plug her really quick. This is who I'm reacting to today. She's really great. She's a great YouTuber. She does does a lot of great work. She reacts to The Fat Electrician. She reacts to a lot of stuff. She also makes some good content on her own. She streams a lot. You know, if she seemed like someone who you think's pretty cool and you'd like to see more content from, go check her out. This is her channel here at Kitsunero. She also streams on Twitch. So, you know, check her out. Oh, it says right here, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. She's streaming today, probably, while I'm recording this. But yeah, so there you go. I think she was pretty fair overall. Pretty fair overall in her takes about AI. I think she's not seeing its potential, and maybe she doesn't want to. And that's maybe a little bit of a on my part. But other than that, she's been really fair, I think. So go check her out. And Kitsu, if you see this, I hope you can see that not all of us are douchebags who want artists to starve. That's not really where we're coming from. A lot of us are just defensive because we've been attacked by the art community, or the art sphere, I'm sorry, a lot. So sometimes we feel the need to defend ourselves. And some of us go a little overboard. I'll admit it. So that's pretty much all I have to say about that, my curious scholars. Till next time.